Hey guys, so we're out here at one of my schools that I went to when I was in high school. I actually went here for 2 years when I was in high school. This is prior was Southfield Lathrop, a school that I went to for my ninth and 10th grade year. And honestly, a school that I fell in love with, where I felt most at home in because I had developed so many relationships um, with my teachers, with my friends, with classmates. And I loved the work that I was allowed to do at this place. Um, I was a part of choir, an amazing opportunity to be a part of choir and see the abilities that God had hidden within me. I was always a person that kind of hid in the background and wanted to be just a part of something amazing like a choir. But the choir gave me something to be a part of that was absolutely amazing. Um, but speaking of something amazing, we're going to talk about focus today and how focus changes your entire life. Focus is everything from the air that you breathe and how aware you are of it to the song that you sing, the things that are on your mind continuously, the things that play over and over and over in your head. Think about how, in a sense, through focus, you're choosing that. You are deciding that this is important. Our minds have a selective focus. It's called reticular activation system, RAS. It's something where our brain latches on to things that we view as being important. Think about you're in a situation where you're about to give a public speech, and you're in front of friends, family, right? Maybe you have that one person that's in the crowd that you have a crush on and you want them to like you. So you're so hyper focused on the way you're talking, the way you're speaking with that person in regard. Not knowing that if you gave the speech, gave the talk with everyone in consideration, the talk would be better. If you just maybe just thought of how you want to give a message about love and peace and joy, or you want to tell a story about an experience you had, maybe if you focused on that, but you're focused on how you're coming off for that one person. So you're shooting yourself in the foot, essentially. You're telling yourself, oh, I can't say this, I can't say that, because you're so hyper focused on what that person might think if you act a certain way. It's a person that you want to them to view you like you're beautiful or that you're attractive. So you're almost scared to say the authentic things, to say that you're afraid or say that you feel like a nerd sometime or that you pick your nose or that sometimes instead of cutting the nail off of your toe with a clipper, you you move your mouth down there to go rip it off. You don't want to be as honest, right? This is what life is all about. You are so hyper focused on how they perceive you and how they see you that it's completely changing your experience of life. Just like being here, I can choose to focus on the beautiful memories that I had here at this place. Me walking through the halls, growing as an individual, growing in my ability to speak and sing, learning to love to sing, but learning ultimately that I love to be a part of a beautiful group and I love harmony. I learned that deeply about myself. And that was something that I got from being in choir. I learned that harmony was so important to me that I needed it almost like an air that I breathe. I desire harmony in my home with my wife. I desire harmony at my church with friends, at the family reunion, surrounded by family members. I desire harmony. I want us all to come together. I want us all to be in one big, as cheesy as it sounds, one big happy family. I desire that at work. I want us all to be friends. I want us all to be able to crack jokes and be in the moment and enjoy each other. So I could focus on the beautiful things that I learned about myself at this place. Or I can make a choice and focus on the negative things about the fact that I had a friend that I liked, but that they didn't like me back, or that I had this girl that I had a crush on, and she said she just viewed me as a friend. I could focus on that. I could focus on the fact that I felt disconnected from my bros. I had girlfriends, girls that were my friends, as they say, right? But I felt disconnected from my friends because they went to the other school a few miles away. So I felt that disconnection. And I wondered, okay, did I make the right choice going to this school? I wondered, okay, should I have went there until I got into choir? And that opened my eyes up and that gave me something to focus on, something to be excited for each day, something to focus on. And that's, I think, what a lot of people need. We need something beautiful to look forward to focus on daily. I would go home singing the songs that we would learn each day and come back a little bit better. I wasn't perfect. I wasn't specially skilled, specially made to be able to know different notes quicker than others, or even wasn't even naturally good at singing notes and staying on my note while other people are singing other notes that harmonize with that. Initially, when I was learning, I naturally would bend to other people's notes. And I didn't realize that, okay, you gotta learn to stay on your path, to stay on your rhythm, stay on your focus. And that's what I realize even now, how life is a lot like that. I'm sitting out here and my wife is sitting in front of me in the car, and even her smile across from me is causing me to be a little distracted. But me focusing on the value that I can convey to you guys is important, because isn't that a reflection of my life? The things that I allow to distract me from my purpose, the things that I allow to distract me from the important things in life, can have almost a demonic, powerful effect, causing your life to deter, causing you to forfeit. Those two words that are scary for a Christian's life. You don't want your life to be detoured, to go off track, to go somewhere else that it was not supposed to be, and to be set back. That's another word right there. You don't want your life to be set back from where it was supposed to go. But even that idea of setbacks, right? We often say when we feel like we've set back, oh my gosh, where would I be if I had of gotten in line with God 5 years ago? If I had got this right a few years ago? I've said that to myself. What if I started working on this skill of communicating with people, communicating and speaking better 2 years ago? How far would I will be? All this past tripping and future tripping, it's not about that. Focus on your path and focus on that only. But acknowledge that that is indeed true. That maybe it was a small little distraction. Maybe it was the girl that you were currently seeing, the guy that you were interested in at the time, you being so enveloped in his life. Maybe it was your friends that are in a different place in life. So you put aside your desire for whatever it was because you noticed that they weren't there and they couldn't go along your journey with you. So you were distracted by them not being where you're at. Maybe that's what it was. But either way, acknowledge that, okay, I took my eyes off the ball, and that's what caused me to get off track. That's what caused me to be where I'm at. But I can choose to move my focus, to focus on what I'm doing and only what I'm doing. I was just watching a video, and he's like a monk, and he was an Asian guy, completely bald, very peaceful and calm in the way that he speaks. He said that when you're on a path, when you're doing what you want to do, only do that. When you begin thinking about what other people think, now you're doing something that's taking away energy, taking away thoughts from that thing that you're doing. When you're thinking about how is it going to work, you're taking away from what you're doing. Even now, I can think, oh, I want this to work. That's taking away. But if I just focus on doing the work, focus on the process, focusing on this process being separate from the result that will come from it. Maybe think of this as just the enjoyment of talking about life. Focus is a big thing when it comes to being able to see the beauties in life. I have to be able to focus on God. I have to be able to focus on what He has in front of me and who He is in my life in order for me to keep going, in order for me to choose Him constantly. If I focus on the negatives, then maybe I start to blame Him. Maybe I start to blame myself. And maybe I harbor unforgiveness within myself to a point where I'm not able to love rightly. Not able to see people rightly, but not able to love Him rightly or see Him rightly because I am clouded. Think about this. When you're focused on something, everything else blurs. That thing suddenly becomes big, just like this camera. When you focus on God, you realize this is important. When you focus on God, you realize how big He is. When you focus on everything else, all the negative things surround you, you make them bigger than He already is. You magnify that. We say at church, magnify the Lord with me. He does not need magnification. He just needs your focus and attention. He's already big. He's everywhere. And if you can get to the point where you see Him everywhere, you will. And you'll know Him to be as big as He actually is. But if you focus on the negative things, if you focus on the issues, the problems in your life, focus on the lack in your life, it grows and it becomes even bigger than it was. Now, I'm not saying be oblivious. I'm not saying act as if it does not exist. But I'm saying act, believe, think, speak in a way where you know that He is beyond that and He lives within you, and therefore you are beyond those problems. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.